This is the OnePlus 15. A phone that... This is the OnePlus 15. A phone that follows last year's OnePlus 13, which I will just outright say this right now, is, or at least was, my favorite phone of the entire 2025. Until this. But it is not as simple as that. And since this is the first phone to launch with the new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip, there is a lot of competition on the way. Now, one area where OnePlus does always do it right though, is giving us this phone 3 weeks ago. So I could spend some proper time with this phone to collect my thoughts, instead of pretty much every other phone company out there who hand phones out a day or a week before at best, and then everyone else just rushes to post their videos first. And as luck would have it, immediately after picking this phone up, I had a great opportunity to test out on a family holiday to Center Parcs, Disneyland Paris, and Legoland. Because this phone is still so interesting and exciting, which in a world of Samsungs and iPhones and Pixels is something that is still very hard to beat. Just a quick one before we do go on. Something like 95% of people watching these videos aren't actually subscribed to the channel. And it makes a huge difference if you are, watching and then choose to subscribe, because then I can make more videos like this. It is totally free. The subscribe button will be down below, and a huge thank you. Now, as far as these specs go, this is one of, if not the first phone to launch with the new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which builds on top of already one of the best mobile chips from last year and this year. Now, that is also paired with up to 512 gigabytes of UFS 4.1 storage, as well as up to 16 gigabytes of LP DDR5X Ultra memory, both of which are super fast. And it just means this phone is fast. Now, camera-wise, we have a triple 50 megapixel cameras on the rear. They've also finished their partnership with Hasselblad though, and have replaced this with their new Detail Max engine. There is a 32 megapixel front-facing camera with autofocus, an IP66, 68, 69, and IP69K rating. There is a whopping 7,300 milliamp hour silicon nanostat battery with 120 watt Super VOOC charging and 50 watts wireless charging. There's a 6.7 inch LPTO display running at 1.5K and also at 165 hertz with 450 pixels per inch, Wi-Fi 7, Oxygen OS 16, and just all of this is a pretty packed spec list. Like, if I could make my dream phone, it would be pretty close to this. Now, one area that I was still slightly disappointed in was losing the really comfortable form factor of last year's OnePlus 13, which in a world with super slim Fold 7s and 25 edges and iPhone Airs actually was this perfect balance of a slim but still very amazing phone. But what we get in return is that huge silicon carbon battery, which I'll talk about more in just a moment. Now, I received the Infinite Black model, which has this matte finish on the back. There's also Sandstorm, which has a fiberglass back panel, and also Ultraviolet. Now, with the Infinite Black model, it is super clean. It looks very, very nice. They say it resists fingerprints, which it does very, very well, but it constantly picks up marks and scratches. So it is kind of a bit of an endless battle against wiping the phone down, which admittedly does clean up, nicely each time, but it does mean that your phone is always in this constant state of either just cleaned or looking like it's badly scratched. Though, to be honest, you'll probably just want to throw on a case anyway, which then makes this a bit of a moot point. It also adds some kind of much needed grip to the phone. And again, the official OnePlus case this year includes magnets, so you can easily snap your phone onto third-party chargers and using like MagSafe accessories. Now, I actually quite liked what OnePlus did here, showing us how the design of the OnePlus 15 was done with precision and using the golden ratio to make sure that everything looks visually appealing. When we have phones like, the latest nothing phone which just doesn't do that at all. Otherwise, it is a pretty comfortable phone to use, if a little on the larger side for those of us who are, growing fond of smaller flagship phones. Before we move on, a quick shout out to 1Password for sponsoring this video, who have made this whole process of switching between iPhone, Android, Mac, and Windows so much easier. Now, I know you can use other password managers such as Samsung Knox and Apple Keychain and Google Chrome passwords, but if you use one of those to store everything, then the moment you pick up a different device, it just becomes impossible to seamlessly store and share your passwords. We even store and share other information like our passports, as well as your passwords, and then you can also share them with friends and family. And I have both a family and a business subscription, and all of this stores all of my most crucial information. And 1Password are just a company that I can wholeheartedly recommend to my friends and family. They prioritize security over their profits, developing features properly and securely, and not rushing things. And they also have some very useful features like Watchtower, which will show you any vulnerable, reused, or weak passwords, as well as sites where you can swap a password for a more secure pass key. And because they are sponsoring this video, there is probably a discount of some form down below. Not sure what exactly, it'll be a bit of a lucky dip, so check out the link in the video description down below. Now, display-wise, it is incredible. At 1.5K, 165 Hz, so the highest resolution and the absolute highest refresh rate on a phone, while still keeping PPI high here at 450. It's not as high as last year's, which was 510 PPI, but still plenty high enough. There's also combined with the new vapor chamber. Now, I haven't seen a single issue whilst using this phone in bright sunshine. The screen also hasn't dimmed because of being, too warm, like I constantly see with other devices, which is a huge pain in the backside when you'd like to actually, see what you're trying to take a photo of in the sunshine. Now, this reaches 1,800 nits in high brightness mode and goes as low as 0.5 nits by reducing the white point, so also great for using at night. There is an under-display ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. No issues here whatsoever. Also IP69K, which is protection against high pressure and high temperature jets of water. So I don't know, if you accidentally drop the phone into a hot tub, I know, first world problems, then you'll be fine. Although I don't think I'll be winning any acting awards anytime soon. Right, so apparently this phone can obviously withstand high water pressure and high temperatures. So I am going to try putting this phone in the dishwasher because high pressure, high temperature. I'm also going to put this DJI action cam in there as well. I think it's waterproof, but we're going to hopefully see if this is also waterproof and will work. So let's just find out what happens. I can see that the torch on the phone was going on and off for a while, and then it's just gone off, but I can see the screen is still on, so I'm not sure what exactly has happened here, so let's find out. Still works. Seems to be good so far. Survived. Screen still works, camera still works. If you need to clean the back of your OnePlus, that's definitely one way to do it. There is also an underwater photography mode, which ejects water by using the loudspeakers. And there is a pre-installed screen protector, which I had to peel off about a week into ownership because I just already put a pretty decent scratch into that one. But since it was peeled off, no issues, no scratches, nothing on the screen. Lovely stuff. Now, as far as performance goes, now it will probably come as no surprise to you that with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, fast storage, fast memory, fast display, even fast connectivity, and also some tweaks OnePlus have made in Oxygen OS 16, that this phone is, fast. Now, I did still go into the developer settings to reduce the animation speeds to 0.5x, which just always makes the phone feel twice as fast as it usually does when navigating around. I just do that on every phone I use now. And with the new vapor chamber that OnePlus have built into these phones, it's just a really pleasant experience to use the phone. Genuinely, the only time I have felt this phone get warm is when I fast charge it at 120 watts. Now, you also have a decent resolution, 1.5K, there's a fast touch sampling rate, and hearing that this phone can do 165 Hz natively in games such as Call of Duty Mobile, and a game that I got pretty obsessed with for the longest time a few years ago, well, it just got me back into it again. Clash of Clans, which also my son got started into until he realized how far ahead I was after playing this game for a good few years solid. Now, OnePlus mentioned that the OnePlus 15 is the first smartphone to achieve a consistent 120 FPS with 0 frame drops in MLBB for over 60 minutes of continuous gameplay, and with other games such as PUBG Mobile at 115 FPS. But it is an absolute dream, like playing games on the display. Whether you can tell the difference on such a small screen with a high refresh rate, I'll let you be the judge on that. But all of this combined, the fast performance of the phone, the vapor chamber, so nothing gets throttled, the fast display, just makes for a great overall experience. And given that this phone also has Wi-Fi 7, which following the recent video we made on upgrading my home network, means I'm getting crazy fast speeds everywhere around my home. Now, battery life. This is really just where this phone is just unbelievable. Silicon carbon, same as last year, but now we are at a whopping 7,300 milliamp hours. And for my use case, with days where I constantly had my phone out trying to plot out timings for our Disneyland trip and then Legoland, this phone gets me through 2 full days, sometimes even into a third day without charging. It is absolutely incredible. And on one hand, yes, I do think this is incredible, but on the other hand, I do kind of wish they kept their more, slimline form factor and instead included enough battery to get through maybe, 1.5 days, especially with that 120 watt fast charging, because, when you do need to charge, you can get a 100% charge in just 39 minutes with a wired charger. Now, there is also bypass charging here, which lets the device power itself directly via mains power when you're gaming, so you don't get a ton more heat generated from, constantly charging the battery at the same time. But, well, you can never please everyone, and I think the people probably shouting the loudest are the ones who just want, thicker phones, bigger batteries, so they've done what the majority is asking here. And for those who are worried about the, longevity of silicon carbon batteries over time, especially with fast charging, then I'm not sure if this is a warranty or a guarantee, but they did mention an 80% battery capacity at 4 years, which is still a hell of a lot of a battery. Plus, realistically, it's going to be better to just charge your phone overnight on a slower charger anyway to get the best battery life out of, well, any phone. I just find it really interesting that brands like OnePlus, Oppo, Huawei, Xiaomi, they're the ones pushing the industry forward nowadays. Apple and Samsung and Google, they seem to be just falling further behind with every year that passes. But with that said, of course, there is lots of red tape around new things like fast charging, newer battery technology, especially when it comes to Samsung, and also producing the quantities that they would need. The one area in this phone that I am really not sure about is actually the cameras. Now, I loved the camera system on the OnePlus 13. Those Hasselblad tuned cameras did something that rarely happens with me, if ever. It had people reaching out to me on Instagram asking what phone I was using because the photos and the videos that I was posting came out looking so nice. People thought I was using a DSLR, which is crazy because all I'm doing is snapping quick photos and videos in those, few moments I have between my kids asking me to go do something else. But I'm not getting that with the OnePlus 15 and its triple 50 megapixel rear cameras. And so whilst we have no Hasselblad partnership with the OnePlus 15, we do have their new Detail Max engine. But I have noticed in quite a few of my photos that the image quality just seems to be missing something. When zooming in, they're also not as sharp. And in fact, a few times it just outright misses the focus. And so then I'm having to take multiple photos to just make sure I've got one that is in focus, which is funny because, well, it's called Detail Max. And it was even more so obvious because whilst on my family vacation, I had another phone in my pocket which looks almost identical to the OnePlus 15, both in physical appearance, but also very close in specs. And that is the Oppo Find X9 Pro, which does have a partnership with Hasselblad. It also has a 50 megapixel front-facing camera and an even larger 7,500 mAh battery. But then it does have a MediaTek chipset and slower charging than the OnePlus, so there are certainly some trade-offs. But when shooting side by side, I just preferred the shots and the footage from the Oppo Find X9 Pro. But again, going back to what I say in pretty much every video, cameras and phones are so good nowadays that no matter what phone you buy, buy, chances are you'll be able to take great photos, great videos. Yeah, Pixel, Samsung, iPhone, Oppo, it doesn't really matter. You're still going to capture those family moments and memories in just incredible detail. So when my son turned to us whilst watching the fireworks in Disneyland, and he said he's so glad we stayed up to watch the show. That is the memory that I'm going to have from all of these photos and all the videos from the show. I'm not going to then pick apart what's wrong with those photos and videos. But I also know that this is the internet, and lots of people like comparing things on the internet. So I did take a few shots with the Oppo and with the OnePlus. I also took a few with the iPhone 17 Pro as well. And I just definitely came away feeling like the OnePlus wasn't the obvious winner here. Now, a few more features before we do move on. We also have 4K 120 FPS with Dolby Vision HDR. There's also support for log video plus a live LUT preview. Now, I did shoot a few clips in log here which have a basic grade applied to them so you can see what's possible here. And there is also continuous optical zoom on portrait mode. So you can go from 1x to 3.5x without being locked into shooting at a specific focal length. Now, the one area that I have always liked though is Oxygen OS. I just like how clean it is. It's actually very similar to Oppo's software. The only thing that has slightly frustrated me here with the Oxygen OS 16 is that one of the ways I like to use my phone is to swipe down or swipe up, search for the app I want to use, and then launch them from there. And sometimes when I do swipe to search, it just takes that few extra seconds for the keyboard to appear. Now, it doesn't happen every time, but enough for me to at least mention it here. Now, OnePlus has also removed the physical slider that toggle between, mute and vibrate only to a button, which now holds their new AI feature called Plus Mind. So tapping the button once takes a screenshot, pressing and holding will record a 60-second voice memo, and all of this goes into the mind space. Now, I know lots of fun terms to learn here. You've got plus key, plus mind, mind space. Now, within your mind space, it organizes all of this data and uses AI to extract key information. So all on device. It's a similar feature I've seen before on the Nothing phone before. It's a great feature and super useful if you do things like screenshotting and itinerary, and then AI pulls out dates and times to create calendar reminders and checklists. Now, I actually do like this feature. I think it's a very slow burner, but the more and more you use it and get used to taking screenshots using the plus button, the more useful it becomes. And OnePlus have then taken this a step further by working together with Google to bring Google Gemini into this space. So you can use Google Gemini to ask questions about what's in your plus mind or mind space or whatever we're calling it today. Gemini, can you check my mind space for a K-pop event coming up?
I found one memory item in your mind space related to a K-pop event. It's a school calendar entry for a friend's event, K-pop Demon Hunter sing-along on Friday, November 7th at 5 p.m.
Now, alongside all of the usual suspects when it comes to AI features, AI writing tools, AI scanning for presentation decks. There is also AI portrait glow that brightens exposure on dimly lit scenes, and also the ability to convert photos into video, which is natively built into the photo album. Then there is the AI Play Lab, which is kind of their playground of latest apps. There are currently 3 in here. You've got YumC, which is an AI menu translator. All of this, again, done on device, which I did get a chance to use whilst in Paris last week, and it was a little bit slow at times, but did do what it says on the tin. Right, so this thing is actually quite cool because you can upload a menu to it or take a photo menu, and then it actually AIifies and puts a menu together, like a scrollable menu with photos, descriptions, prices as well in pounds. Obviously it would convert into your local currency, but really quite clever. And I remember OnePlus telling us about this in the presentation where they tried to get the AI image to be as accurate as possible to the actual thing, and they showed us one and it was like they took a photo of the real one versus the AI one and it was basically identical. So pretty good. And yeah, if you're if you're reading a text-based menu like this one, and then you kind of want to get a good idea of what it's actually going to be like, then you can scroll and go, oh look, I like steak and chips, let's choose that, rather than having to decipher the menu as you're scrolling through it, which I thought was pretty nice. There's also Party Up, which I haven't really used, but AIifies your party photos apparently. Where did the extra kid come from? And also Photospell, which lets you use natural language to edit photos, which is exactly what we saw with Google on the Pixels lately, except when I came to testing it, I realized it was only available to US, whereas OnePlus is available everywhere. Add ducks on the water and take the clouds away from the sky and put a hat on me. Okay. Well, it got the ducks, it got the sky. Put a beanie hat on the male person. Hey! And it made me smile at the same time. Now, all of which I think are very much take it or leave it. Like, you either use them or you don't use them. And I kind of sit in the middle here, as I don't often need the Mindspace stuff, but it's just one of those things that over time just becomes more familiar, more useful. You know, the more information you store in there, the better it becomes. So overall, the OnePlus 15 is a fantastic package. And with the caveats I've mentioned, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed when upgrading to this phone. Even when there might be other very similar, but also maybe slightly better options available, which also then come with their own issues. And as always, don't forget, memories always come over specs.